You're listening to Puma Podcast.
You're listening to Teka Teka, and in this episode, we talk about the Duterte clan's announcement that they will all be running for Senate seats in 2025. That's next year. I'm Jill Caro, executive producer at Teka Teka, and I'm joined by Teka Teka senior editor and Puma Podcast chairman Robbie Alampay.
Hello, magandang araw po sa kanilang lahat.
And also, Earl Pareno, author of the authorized biography of former President Rodrigo Duterte named Beyond Will and Power, a biography of President Rodrigo Duterte.
Hello, magandang hapon.
Last week, may bali-balita na naman na sinabi daw ng mga Duterte na tatakbo sila sa Senate for 2025. So mixed reaction siya from netizens. Ano pong initial thought nyo doon nung narinig nyo yung balitang yun?
Ang unang reaksyon ko doon, hindi ako naniwala. Una-una, hindi lang din sa bangayan na nangyari, pero at hindi lang yung mga nakaraang araw. I always tell people and I always tell myself, parang nung mga 4 or 5 months before the 2022 elections, ganito rin magbangayan ng mga Marcos at saka mga Duterte, and then ultimately nagsama rin. But also taken by itself, parang hindi ako makapaniwala naman that a vice president and the mayor of Davao and the entire clan will leave their bailiwick. And as we say, iiwan mo nakatiwangwang yung tindahan mo na walang magbabantay, di ba? And then finally, yung context nung linggong yon, kakaalis niya lang sa kabinete. So obviously may nangyari. So sabi ko, baka emotional, this is really more emotional than any real political plan.
Yeah, that makes sense. So Earl, ikaw, kilala mo sila and you wrote a biography of the former president, and you also know Davao better than me and Robbie here. So sa tingin mo, seryoso ba tong announcement na to, or is this just a repeat of what happened, as Robbie mentioned, 2021, 2022 before the elections?
Para sa akin, obviously, hindi seryoso yun. Sabi ko nga, parang squid tactic lang yun dahil ang biggest challenge ng family Duterte ngayon ay how to hold on sa bailiwick nila, Davao. Ngayon kasi, challenge sila ng pamilyang Nograles, no? Na maliban nung naging presidente si Duterte, si Rodrigo, no, from 2016 to 2019, yun lang yung walang challenge from the Nograleses. Ngayon, ang tatakbo sa mga Nograles ay yung nakababatang sister ni Carlo Nograles, si Migs, Attorney Migs Nograles. So, medyo malaking challenge ito sa kanila. So, ang iniisip nila na papaano ba sila lulugar. Of course, kung si Base pa rin ang tatakbo, batay doon sa mga political observers doon na posibleng or malaking tsansa matalo si Baste ni Attorney Migs Nograles. So, kailangan nila ma-convince na si Digong, no, ang father, ang tumakbong mayor. Ang sabing mga Dutertes ay lahat ay tatakbong Senate, actually para kay Sara lang yon. Obviously, hindi nag-uusap itong pamilya at they don't sit together to plan paano sila proceed or paano ilatag ang nila. In fact, I think i-deny ni FRRD on the former president na tatakbo silang lahat sa Senate.
Mukhang agree naman kami ni Earl na yun, hindi mo naman madaling seryosohin yun na basta-basta na lang lahat sila tatakbo. Na point out niya nga, pamilyang Nograles, among other political clans in Mindanao, di ba? Parang magkaroon ng vacuum dyan din, napakadaling may pumasok. So mukhang agree naman kami ni Earl. Ang tanong ko kay Earl, if I may, Jill, kung agree tayo na hindi seryoso to, di bakit sinabi ni Sara yon? And ano ba talaga gusto niyang ipahiwatig?
Sa tingin ko parang squid tactic na ito. no? Para hindi mapag-usapan yung resignation niya, nakafocus sa resignation niya, para hindi mapag-usapan yung Davao. Now, there has to be another issue na malapit sa kanya pero hindi siya ang focus. That's why kung makikita nyo, she was talking about suggestion ng mama niya, hindi ng papa niya. At it's very telling dahil si mama niya, si Elizabeth Zimmerman, no, ay hindi naman nagme-medal sa politics, no. So sa tingin ko, yun yung indication na you don't have to take it seriously.
Okay, really good point. Pero I'm curious, ano yung implication nito sa mga Pilipinas?
Ang takeaway ko parati pagka may ganito is same as kanina. The first thing is ginagamit ko to train myself, and I think people should train themselves na not to overreact pagka mayroong nangyayari. Kasi ay nga, tandaan natin itong unity team until mga 4 months before the elections in 2022, watak na watak din yan. Tsaka nagbabangayan din in public. Nothing that we've heard in the last few weeks or even last few months na the worst na bangayan ni BBM at saka ni PRRD. Narinig na rin natin dati yan. Nagda-drugs to, nagpe-fentanyl to, incompetent to, tamad to. Dapat by this time natuto na tayo that not to take anything at face value. And the other thing is to force ourselves to think, ano pa ba yung ibang issue na hindi ko nalalaman na maaaring pinagtatakpan or maaaring linilin lang yung atensyon natin sa iba. And then finally, ang isang takeaway ko dito, if I, as a typical voter, is then I would think, parang bakit? Sila lang ba kailangan kong pag-usapan?
Voters don't have to choose between Duterte and Marcos. No, they have to look for other leaders that have the competence, that have the ability to lead this nation sa future na gusto natin. No, the problem now is that these two families control the narrative. Parang sila lang yung ito yung opposition, administrasyon ni Marcos, parang sila lang, pumili kayo, no, sa amin. Pero anong issue ilalabas nila? Pupunta silang Senate or these are not important issues for the Filipino people now. Kailangan ang mga tao mismo ang gumawa at mag-control ng narrative ng gusto nila.
Magaling mag-ingay yung both camps whether together or apart, di ba? And then it creates the impression na sila lang ang parang dito ka lang mamimili. So even yung usapin na biglang sasabihin ni Sara or na mga kakampi niya, ito na yung opposition na. So mili ka, administration or opposition. But when you remind yourself na hindi lang to dapat ang options ko or hindi lang to dapat ang options ko, that also creates pressure on everybody else. Because bukas man ang isip natin na there are other people out there, those other people out there have to step up. Diba? So, gaya nga ng sabi ko dito, kung ayaw niyong tanggapin na si Sara Duterte ang opposition, then you have to ask yourself 2 questions. Sino yung opposition mo? And the second question is, kung sino man yung sinasabi mong opposition na yan, anong ginagawa nila? Diba? Habang pumoporma at nagbabangayan itong dalawa. Let's create pressure also on those other people to step up, to speak, and to help us have a proper agenda heading into the next elections.
Dapat maging proactive ang mga tao sa pag-control ng narrative, pag-develop ng narrative na mas relevant sa kanya. Tayo kasi nagre-react lang sa mga leaders at yung gusto nilang pag-usapan. Na kung titignan mo, hindi naman ganun ka-relevant yun sa mga ordinaryong tao.
So ako yung takeaway ko sa discussion natin is to be very conscious din of what we hear or what we read. So ayan, syempre nababalita, nababasa natin, napapakinggan, pero hindi lahat kailangan pagtuunan ng pansin. And there's many more things na dapat pagtuunan. And gusto ko din yung takeaway about yung pag-reclaim ng tao natin sa narrative na tayo yung tao, tayo yung boboto, tayo yung nakikinabang or hindi nakikinabang sa kung ano man yung ginagawa ng mga politiko natin. And dapat meron tayong say, kumbaga, sa mga nangyayari. And wag nating hayaan na kung ano lang yung pinifeed sa atin, ay yun lang yung automatic paniniwalaan natin o panghahawakan natin.
I think you said it perfectly, Jill, di ba? Parang it's one thing for us na maaliw, it's one thing for us na magpadala sa mga telenovela or sa mga drama, and hindi naman natin sinasabing walang implication to moving forward. All we're saying is you do have power, we do have power to control the narrative, to be active participants in the narrative. Hindi lang tayo nanonood at nagse-speculate, ano kayang susunod na kabanata? Dapat dapat nakita natin na kasama tayo sa yugtong to, kasama tayo sa in writing the narrative as you said. We have to be proactive participants of our own story.
Tayo kasi nasanay na tignan na show ang politika ng bansa, no? Since it's a show, gusto natin sa Cebuano paharay-haray na lang and observe kung ano mang nangyayari. Pero I think we have to write the script. Collectively write the script of the politics that we want to have, no? Hindi na yung mga politiko ang magra-write ng script at anong gusto nilang mangyari sa bansa.
Thank you, Robbie and Earl. And thank you for our listeners for tuning in to this another episode of Teka Teka. If you found this insightful, maybe you have friends who also want to know why this topic is important, paki-share naman ito. It would mean so much to us if you will. So this episode was hosted by me, Jill Caro, and this was edited by Pidoy Blanco with editorial support from our editor-in-chief, Carl Javier. Make sure you follow Teka Teka on Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast so you can continue to get slow news that matters to you. Salamat po.